is going on, everybody, and welcome to the Monday edition of the Stokastic NHL Strategy Show. I am your host, Josh Harris. We have every day this week slates between 6 and 10 games, so that's a nice size to break down slates. It's hopefully we get some decent GPPs on Tuesday and Thursday because they are lacking a little bit today, but neither here nor there. Kiefer Sherwood got traded to the Sharks as we were coming on the air. Good stuff there. 6-game slate because it is a holiday in the United States today. I like 6-game slates. There is one very much super wow chalky spot. Actually, there's a couple which we will get to, but there are a couple of lines that aren't getting much ownership here tonight that are in interesting spots. So I think it's a pretty wide open slate here. So joining me to break it down, some Cliffy. What's going on?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Busy week ahead. NHL full steam ahead until the Olympic break. Couple real light days next week, and then the week after that is the Olympic break. But yeah, busy week. This week, obviously, the trades are starting. We're seeing that more and more in recent seasons. Teams have stopped waiting until the trade deadline. Like they'll go make a big trade in January. And we saw that obviously with Mikko Rantanen last year, JT Miller, like things like that.
Rasmus Anderson yesterday.
I think it's a good thing. Like you give yourself like a month or so to see if there's a fit. And if it doesn't fit, then you can still trade the guy away at the trade deadline. Remember the Canucks tried to do that with Elias Lindholm. He got traded to Vancouver, sucked in Vancouver, and then nobody wanted to trade for him, and they were stuck with him.
And then the Bruins gave him $50 million.
Yeah, it was interesting. But yeah, 6 games on the board here tonight, Saturday night slate. I mean, I think it was Florida too you probably needed. Bennett had a 3-point night. Verhaeghe had a goal and assist. AJ Greer had a goal and assist. Florida not on the board tonight, but they do play today, and they're getting Matty Tkachuk back. Interesting timing. Florida's only 4 points back of a playoff spot, but obviously the Atlantic Division is an absolute knife fight right now. So being 4 points back, like 35 games might not be enough time to make up 4 points given the way that most of the Atlantic Division is going. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, 6 games on the board here tonight. A few game time decisions that are pretty key, top of the lineup type guys. Quote, late night hammer, Vancouver and New York Islanders. I don't know if you can call it that, but there's certainly 2 NHL teams that are playing each other tonight. Some mega chalk, interesting slate. Let's get through it.
Yeah, and I just found out that Spencer's watching, a little guy. So hang in there, big guy. We'll go get a nice cookie target after this. But we got a $2 super chat before we get started here from our pal here. Kill me with the emojis. For the coffee, Red Bull, McDonald's, smoke, Taco Tuesday, your mom goes to college fund. I don't even know. But thank you so much for the super chat. And let's have a good day today.
Yeah, always appreciate the support. Thanks for the super chat. I'm not particularly a Red Bull guy. Like, I honestly don't. I know you drink. It's weird. You drink a ton of energy drinks. I don't remember the last time I had one. I drink like 2 or 3 coffees a day, and you never drink coffee. It's a really weird dynamic we got going here. But yeah, always appreciate the support. Thanks for jumping in chat. Yeah, I got my coffee mug right here. Thanks for the support. Appreciate you always jumping in chat here. Let's try to have a good night.
Yeah. I don't drink Red Bull. Got just turned on to Monster. Shit's out of control. All right, let's get into the slate. Before we do, as always, with the new upgrades or whatever you want to call them to the site, our affiliate link is on the IR right now, but we do have a code that tracks our signups. You can use promo code PUCKLUCK. That will give you 15% off any subscription. PGA's back in full swing. Obviously, we have NHL, NBA, NFL, MMA starts up this weekend. Numbered event pay-per-view, but you can watch it for free on Paramount Plus this weekend. So if you're interested in that, click the link, but I was going to say go to www.stokastic.com/pricing. And when you check out, use the promo code PUCKLUCK. I'm always working on my love handles. So yes, I will check that out. Minnesota Wild with a 3 total heading into Toronto. Somehow the Leafs are favored. They have a 3.1 total. Minnesota basically missing their second line in Jonas Brodin. And the Leafs are only minus 110.
Yeah, it was minus 105 this morning, I think. Yeah, it's kind of funny.
Minnesota loading up their top line with Hartman, Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Yurov, Tarasenko, Yakov, Trenin is their second line. That's a scene. Leafs going Matthews, McMahon, Domi, Tavares, Michelli, Lawton.
Yeah, Nyes is a game time decision.
Yeah,
if he plays, he'll be in Lawton's spot.
Yeah. Obviously Nylander tweaked his groin again, so he's out. If Nyes is in, he will probably, like Cliffy said, be on the second line. He'll also take the top power play spot away from Robert Kennedy McMahon. Minnesota, let's talk about Minnesota here. Their top line, Kaprizov, Zuccarello, Hartman, 19,300. They have the highest top 2 stack on the night, 30.2%, which is a large number for a 6-game slate, 29.3% projected ownership. I'm kind of conflicted here on what to do with the Wild, because on one hand, they're fully correlated. They're going to have to play a ton of minutes here tonight. And they're facing a Leafs team that, yes, since Troy Stetcher got there, they're in the middle of the road defensively. But they're a fully correlated line for under 20K. Kaprizov may play 25 minutes. Zuccarello will play over 20. It wouldn't shock me to see Ryan Hartman play 20 as well, against a Austin Matthews line that really has not been great defensively this season, which shouldn't shock anyone with Max Domi up there. So, 29.3% projected ownership is fairly high, but there's a lot of cheaper lines here tonight that aren't getting a lot of ownership where you can differentiate. It's a decent power play matchup from the standpoint that, the Leafs just aren't a great team. Joe Woll is in net, and he has been very good. The Wild power play has been hot and cold. Without Boldy, I would imagine it's not going to be as great. But at that point, if you want to get different, right, I think you just stack Minnesota 1 and either add in Tarasenko or just make it a 5-man power play stack. Because the top line, Quinn Hughes and Tarasenko are going to play the most minutes, I believe, of anyone on the Wild. So, you just want to turn it into a power play stack. I think that's fine. I have no interest in stacking the second or third lines at all. On the Leaf side, we'll have to see if Nyes plays. If Nyes is in, I think that second line is interesting to me because they would be fully correlated at a fairly cheap price. They've been fine. The Wild's penalty kill since their inception in 1873 has been awful. So I don't mind a fully correlated line here. It's not like that the Leafs power play is anything to be feared, but that penalty kill is atrocious. If Nyes is out, I'd probably just go to the top line because you can get, Matthews and Bob McMahon for 13,100 on the top power play. You want to stack Domi, you're in the mid 16s, right? And that line is coming in right at their top 2, 13.6% projected ownership. But a Matthews line at 16.6 where you can get 2 of the 3 guys on the top power play. If you wanted to turn it into a power play stack, you could leave off Domi, add in one of the second line guys. If you want to save a couple dollars, you can add in Matthias Michelli, save $600, and he has improved that power play, which, as Cliffy said, isn't the most shocking thing because he has excellent playmaking metrics. So, if Nyes is out, I go to the top line. If Nyes is in, I like that second line, but at 13K, I also would try to find my way to get Matthews in as well. So really it's a power play stack on both sides.
Yeah. It's an interesting game from the special teams perspective because, like you mentioned, the Toronto power play has been a lot better with Michelli. 11.6 goals per 60 minutes with Michelli on the top power play unit. That is like the league average for a top power play is like 8.8. They're at 11.6, and maybe they're riding a bit hot, but they should at the very least be above average with him there, given their shot volume and quality metrics. So it's not what the power play was 2 months ago or something like that. Now they're facing a wild team, as you said. Their penalty kill is just so bad. It's been bottom 5 in the NHL over the last 5 weeks, bottom 5 in the NHL over the course of the season. Like at no point has this been a good penalty kill for Minnesota. The only thing that has saved the Wild is that they don't really take a ton of penalties. Like over the last 5 weeks, 2.6 per game. It's the 7th lowest rate in the league over the course of the entire season. 2nd lowest rate of power plays given to the opponent per game. So Toronto may not get a bunch of opportunities, especially where the Leafs don't draw very many power plays. Like they might only get a couple cracks at it here tonight. And it's not as good as the power play is. Like this isn't Edmonton or Vegas or something like that. It's not one where if they get 2, they can go. I mean, and they could go 2 for 2. Anything can happen in a single game. I certainly wouldn't expect it, even against this Minnesota penalty kill. So like I would probably just lean to one of the even strength lines in that sense. Like on a 6-game slate, I don't hate a power play stack, just because there may only be one path to victory, and if the Leafs top 6 gets 4 goals or something like that here tonight, you'll be just fine anyway. But I would probably go to one of the even strength lines. Now, I would probably dip down to the second line of Michelli, assuming Nyes plays, of Nyes, Michelli, and Tavares. I will say, if Nyes doesn't play in the second line of Scott Laughton, I'm not playing it.
Correct.
And it's not, and it's not because, I mean, it would be priced pretty well. Like I think Laughton's $1,900 cheaper, so that line would be like 11,100 or something like that. Like, okay, it's a filler. If they get one perfectly correlated goal, you're probably fine. But listen, Scott Laughton sucks. Like, I don't know what to say. It was a terrible trade when they made it, and he's not been a good player for them since. And he's certainly not a second liner for what is for a team that's hoping to make the playoffs. So I would be, if Laughton is in, I'm out on Toronto 2. I would go to Toronto 1. If Nyes is in, I think I'd go to Toronto 2 just because, 5% top 2 stack, 5.8% ownership. They're priced as a filler, so you can put them in with, if you want a game stack with Minnesota, if you're going to play Winnipeg or Vegas or something like that, you can fit them in with them. They've been pretty good together, assuming it is Nyes. 58 shot attempts, 3.2 expected goals per 60 minutes. Nyes has 11 points in his last 16 games. That's like a 56-point pace. It's not great, but it's certainly not terrible. And listen, like Quinn Hughes and Kirill Kaprizov, I looked at their ice time the other game, like when Minnesota was missing that entire second line. Quinn Hughes and Kirill Kaprizov skated together 63% of the time at 5-on-5, which means Matthews is going to probably get that matchup. And then once you get past that Minnesota top pair with no Brodin, there ain't a lot there, especially with all the injured forwards as well. I think it's a pretty good 5-on-5 matchup for that second line. So if Nyes is in, it's Toronto 2. If Nyes is out, it's probably Toronto 1, just because they have also been pretty good. I'm not playing Scott Laughton, and you would get McMahon on the top power play unit, like you said. So if Nyes is in, Toronto 2. If Nyes is out, Toronto 1. On the Minnesota side, like the Minnesota power play has been flat out bad since Quinn Hughes got there. not like it's not like they've, they had a hot streak and then hit a cold spell or something. Like flat out bad. 64 minutes at 5-on-4 with Hughes and Kaprizov on the ice. 64 minutes. They have 4 goals. It's like one every 16 minutes. Like, that's not good at all. They probably should do better considering the shot volume that they're creating. But, Toronto, Joseph Woll's been great on the penalty kill this year. Toronto's penalty kill been a lot better lately, driven by great goaltending. But, certainly has been a lot better after Joel Woll got healthy. So, you mentioned how much better Toronto got defensively once Troy Stecher got there. I think it just kind of put everybody into the right spot. Like 30% ownership, like that's a lot. And I don't mind playing Minnesota 1 just because, like you said, I think if the game's close, Zuccarello and Hartman are going to play minimum 20 minutes. Kaprizov, like you said, might play 25. They're going to get a pile of minutes. They're perfectly correlated. That's all well and good. But this has been a bad Minnesota power play, even with Boldy and Eriksson healthy. Can't imagine it's going to get a whole lot better putting in, Tarasenko and Hartman. And they don't draw a lot of Toronto doesn't give up a lot of power play opportunities either. I don't know. I'm not going to say don't play them because they do have the highest top 2 stack on the board, but they're also going to be incredibly chalky for a 6-game slate. I think just based on the fact that they're going to be like 30% owned or whatever, or even higher in some single entries, I'm probably out on Minnesota 1. Minnesota 2, I guess, is playable to me. They do have some minutes together. Obviously, Tarasenko's on the power play. They haven't really created a whole lot in their time. 65 minutes together, 36 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Like that ain't great, Bob. So I don't know. I think in general, I'm just kind of out on the Wild. Like, if you do want to one-off Tarasenko for cheap or something like that, or one-off Kirill Kaprizov just because he'll play 24, 25 minutes or something. I think those things are fine. But I think if I'm stacking anything out of this game, it's on the Toronto side. And like I said, Nyes is in, Toronto 2. If Nyes is out, Toronto 1.
Yeah, I'm on board with that. Toronto. I'm not playing Scott Laughton either. Philadelphia Flyers with a 2.5 total heading into Sin City. The Golden Knights have a 3.5. Flyers going Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny, Cates, Brink, Michkov, Couturier, Tippett, Barkey. Vegas going Eichel, Stone, Barbashev, Dorofeyev, Marner, Smith, Hurdle, Bowman, Kolasar. I didn't see if Rasmus Anderson's going to be in the lineup. I don't know if he has visa issues or I didn't see anything yet, but, that's neither here nor there. On the Flyer side, I'm out on that top line. It's just going into the Eichel Stone matchup is just not great, Bob. And the Flyers have a 2.5 road total. So I am out on that top line. I think that second line is playable. Cates and Brink have played well together. They're fully correlated on the second unit, whatever that means to you. Vegas just doesn't take penalties anyway. But, Marner, Dorofeyev, Riley Smith doesn't exactly incite fear defensively. I'm not saying let's go run out and play the Flyers depth on this slate, but if you are game stacking, if you're doing a Vegas power play, Winnipeg power play, God help you if you're doing Rangers power play, something like that. I think a 2-man of Brink and Cates is fine, but I'm really not I'm not full stacking anything on the Flyers. Basically, it would be a 2-man from that second line. If you want to one-off Denver Barkey for min price, he'll play 13, 14 minutes, whatever. You could do worse than that. But this is a Vegas game for me, and it is top line for me. It is Urson in net. That top line is over 20K now, 20,600, 18% top 2, 7.7% projected ownership. Now they're $1,300 more expensive than that Minnesota line, but they're coming in at a fourth of the ownership, and that is attractive shooting on Sam Urson. So, I'm fine with leaving Barbashev there. The Flyers penalty kill has been fine with Vladar there. 20,600 for them, I think, is fine. If you wanted to turn it into a power play stack, you're looking at like 22, almost 23K on DraftKings. So I'd probably just leave Barbashev there. He'll play enough where he can pay off his price. Dvorak, Zegras, Konechny, nothing to be feared defensively. So I do really like Vegas one. It's really the only line that I have interest in on Vegas. I don't really want to stack a Mitch Marner centered line. They haven't been great offensively. Hurdle with two guys that, don't really do anything for me. So it's really just Vegas one or bust. If you need a cheap filler 2-man, I think the Flyers second line, Kate's Brink, is fine, but I'm really not running out to play them.
Yeah, I'll start on the Flyers side. I mean, I agree with you on not playing the top line. Just going into that Stone matchup is a pretty bad matchup. It's kind of funny. I think we said that the other day when Vegas was hosting Nashville, and then Evangelista and Forsberg both scored. But Vegas still won 7-2. So it didn't really matter. But yeah, it's just a bad matchup. That Vegas top line, 2.2 expected goals against per 60. So I'm kind of out on that Flyers line. Like 16,200 with 1.8% ownership. I think the very low ownership would be kind of the reason to play them here. But we'll get to Chicago in a second. Like Chicago's top line is projected under 5% ownership. $1,200 cheaper, not playing Vegas. So or not going up against Stone and Eichel. So I'm kind of out on Philly one. Philly two, they have been fine. 57 shot attempts for, 50 against per 60 for Cates, Michkov, and Brink. Matvei Michkov's playmaking numbers have taken an absolute crash this year compared to his rookie season. New coach and all that, adjusting to a new system. I'm not concerned about him long term, but there's not a lot of time left in the season to turn it around. Not really super excited about playing that Michkov line. Philly 3, I think, would be kind of interesting to me. With Tippett and Couturier, that Tippett Couturier line generally has been good this year. At least offensively. Tippett, Couturier, Barkey, 71 shot attempts for, 3.4 expected goals for, only 2.6 actual goals. Shooting percentage is still low, but they are creating a lot. And, you're going to avoid any tough matchups coming back from the Vegas side. Philly 3 is not that expensive, right? Even Owen Tippett, Tippett has been shooting the puck a fair bit. He has 33 shots in his last 10 games. Even Tippett, is only, I say only, but 5,500. That's fine. Like you said, Denver Barkey, Min Price, Sean Couturier, only 37. Tippett and Barkey, Tippett and Couturier, those types of things. I think that's kind of where I go on the Flyers, is that third line. They don't get a pile of minutes, but at the very least, Couturier and Barkey are cheap enough where you don't need a pile of minutes from them. Obviously, Tippett is a threat for the shot bonus. So I like Flyers 3 here. I'm not in on the top two lines. Obviously, though, this is a Vegas game for me. They are fairly expensive, right? Eichel's over 9K, Hurdle's over 6K, Dorofeev is over 6K, Stone's over 7, Marner is 6,000. 3 of the 5 guys on the top power play unit are centers, so that's tough to stack. If you want a Vegas power play stack and you put in a super cheap goalie, you've got $8,000 left over for 3 roster spots. So that's kind of tough to pull off. But it is a great power play spot for that Vegas power play. I mean, the Vegas power play itself has just been tremendous. 13.8, that top 5 forward power play unit, 13.8 expected goals, 17.7 actual goals per 60. Like, that's like Edmonton Oilers at their peak territory. It is an unreal power play. And the Philly penalty kill, like, over the last 5 weeks, second most goals against per game or per minute. Sorry, only the Sharks are worse. Over the course of the season, sixth most goals against per minute, nestled between Minnesota and St. Louis. Like, this Flyers PK is just not very good. It is a great spot for that Vegas power play. And Philly has been taking penalties lately, 3.2 per game over the last 5 weeks. League average is about 2.9. Worse than league average over the course of the full season. So, like, Vegas might get 3 or 4 cracks at it tonight. The question is just, what do you do? I think, given how good Dorofeev's been on the power play, he's the guy that I find really tough to leave off. I mean, you can try to 5-man stack, but like I said, you'd have to literally punt your goalie plus 3 roster spots. I feel like that's just asking a lot. But if you did do like a Stone, Dorofeev, Eichel stack, it is super expensive. It's a 6-game slate. It's a terrific power play spot. Eichel's 9 games since he came back. He's averaging over 4 shots per game, has 15 points in that span. Obviously, Mark Stone, when he's been healthy, has been unreal productive. I'm fine with just playing Vegas 1 at 20,600. I would probably try to find a way to make it more of a power play stack, whether it's Eichel Stone, Dorofeev, Eichel Stone, Hurdle, something like that. I say I usually don't play super expensive lines. And that's normally only on big slates. A 6-game slate, like, I'm kind of fine. Usually there's only one real path to victory. And if the Vegas power play goes like 2 for 4 or something like that here tonight, it's lights out. So, at the very least, Vegas top line, I'm fine with playing them. But like I said, I would probably figure out some way, turn it into more of a power play stack, put in Dorofeev or put in Hurdle or something like that. That's the direction I would go.
Winnipeg Jets, they 3.2 total. Heading into Chicago, Blackhawks have a 2.8. Winnipeg going Scheifele, Connor, Iafallo, Tays, Velarde, Perfidi. Chicago, Andre Burakovsky's a game time decision. He's sick. He didn't skate this morning, so we'll see. Your guess is as good as mine. Sometimes people will play. Sometimes people will miss a week. We just don't know. They skated this morning with Colton Dock in his spot, so I almost want to believe that they think he's going to be playing. It seems like a placeholder because he's been on the 4th line. If Burakovsky's in, they're going to go Bedard, Green, Burakovsky, Dickinson, Mikheyev, Bertuzzi, and then Donato Morilardis. On the Winnipeg side, that top line with Iafallo, 18,700, 14.4% top 2, 8.7% projected ownership. They'll probably see Dickinson, Mikheyev. They haven't been super great defensively with Bertuzzi. That's not a shock, but Winnipeg top line with Iafallo there, just, not super great. They're still power play merchants. They're still empty net merchants. So, it is Spencer Knight in net, and he has been pretty good. But if I was going to play Winnipeg here, I'm leaving off Iafallo and adding in, if you add in Gabriel Velarde, that stack becomes $100 more expensive than Vegas 1. If you add in Tays, it becomes 19,100. Both those guys aren't coming in with a ton of ownership, so you should get a pretty unique 3-man. I'm not super excited about playing Winnipeg, though. If you want to go to Winnipeg 2 as a filler, because you get Tays and Velarde on the top power play unit, they're 12K, 2.4% top 2, 1.9% projected ownership. They'll avoid the Dickinson matchup. The Bedard line, whether Burakovsky plays or not, is going to be bad defensively. The issue that I have with Winnipeg 2 at 12K is they control nothing.
But they suck.
yeah, they suck, but they've been scoring. But like in 63 minutes, they have 42 chances for, 76 against per 60. It's just like, they suck. So it's like, but so does the Bedard line. So it's just like, you get Velarde on the top. I don't know, man. I'd probably just go to the top line and add in one of the power play guys. I'm not super high on Winnipeg here. I hate these lines. Eat Arby's. On the Blackhawks side, if Burakovsky does play, that would give me interest in the top line because they will see that Taves line. And as we just mentioned, they suck. Not that Bedard line really blows anyone away offensively with Green and Burakovsky. They're at least, about even controlling the play. They've been scoring. They're fully correlated. Whether Green or Donato's there or not, they go back and forth. But I do like Chicago 1 here. If Burakovsky plays, they're coming in at 15K, 6.2% top two, 4.7% projected ownership. I know it's Hellebuck, but they're also going to avoid the Josh Morrissey pairing. And with Josh Morrissey off the ice, the Jets are just completely different teams. So honestly, I think my favorite full line in this game is Chicago 1, assuming Burakovsky plays. And if you're going to play the Jets, I'd probably turn it into some sort of power play stack.
Yeah. With if Burakovsky doesn't play, obviously you can just swap down to Colton Dach or something like that. But that, Colton Dach is not Andre Burakovsky, and it's not like Andre Burakovsky is like an elite forward or something like that. But there is a gap between Burakovsky, who's I think a very capable middle six scoring winger, and Colton Dach, who is a borderline NHLer. Period. So it would make me less excited if Dach isn't playing. The nice thing is there are spots later on that. On the slate that you can swap to. I mean, we'll get to Vancouver. Not that I'm super excited about Vancouver, but you can swap to Vancouver. If you leave a little bit of money, you can swap to the second Devils line. There's certainly Anaheim lines that you can play. So I don't hate the idea of putting in Chicago 1 and then seeing if Burakovsky doesn't play. If he doesn't play, I wouldn't be super excited about playing the Blackhawks here tonight, or at least the top line. The top line since Thanksgiving, 3.5 goals per 60 minutes. They're gonna go against the Winnipeg middle six. Second line, 3 expected goals against per 60. Third line, 3.3. Those are just bad defensive numbers. They'll get good minutes. It's a good power play matchup. Hellebuck's been solid on the PK. So I do think he's the difference maker. The Winnipeg penalty kill itself isn't, anything to write home about. Over the last 5 weeks, the Winnipeg PK, their goals against have been great. A lot, like I said, a lot of that is Connor Hellebuck. The Chicago power play has been excellent this year. I do like Chicago 1, but if Burakovsky doesn't play, I'm probably just swapping off them entirely. Chicago 2 is kind of interesting just because they get decent minutes, right? At the high end, Bertuzzi will probably play 18 minutes because he gets top power play time. Dickinson and Mikheyev something like 15 to 17 minutes. Bertuzzi is 3.3 shots per game over his last 10 games. It's a small sample, but those three together, 60 shot attempts, 3.1 expected goals for per 60. It's not like the Winnipeg top line is elite defensively or anything like that. So I honestly don't hate dropping down to Chicago 2. If you don't want to worry about swapping or anything like that, you need a filler stack. Bertuzzi, Mikheyev, Dickinson, 10,600 for pretty good minutes in a very good 5-on-5 matchup. I kind of like Chicago. Generally speaking, I like Chicago 1, but if I wouldn't want to worry about swapping and finding other lines and all that, I'm perfectly fine going to Chicago 2 here. I think they're in a good 5-on-5 matchup. Get good minutes. They played well in a small sample. So I think that's the direction I would go. On the Winnipeg side, The good news of late for the Jets was that the power play had been better since adding Jonathan Taves to it. And, as somebody mentioned in the chat, Narrative Street here, Taves has returned to Chicago, so maybe he has a little bit extra juice. But this is a bad matchup for the Winnipeg power play. Over the last 5 weeks, Chicago is fourth by goals against per minute on the PK. Over the course of the season, third by goals against per minute. Only Colorado and Buffalo of all teams, better. So this is an excellent Chicago penalty kill. Winnipeg doesn't draw a ton of power plays. Even with Taves there and the improvements he'd made, they're just slightly above average for a top power play unit. They're nowhere as close to what they were last year or anything like that. So I'm not – and, if Spencer Knight's in net, he's definitely had some off games this year. But generally speaking, he's been excellent. 18,700, they're in play. I don't know. I'm probably out on the Jets here. I just don't think it's a great 5-on-5 matchup going up against Dickinson and Mikheyev. It's certainly a bad power play matchup for them with Spencer Knight in. I just don't have a lot of interest. I mean, Winnipeg too, I guess. But like you said, 43 shot attempts for, 70 against per 60 at 5-on-5. Like they're getting steamrolled. Honestly, if I were to play anything from the Winnipeg side, it would be the third line as a filler. Lowry, Niederreiter, Nemesnikov. Do a two-man of like Lowry, Niederreiter or something like that. Like if I do need it, because I'm playing, super expensive Vegas power play stack or Devils or something like that. They've been fine in a small sample, 53 shot attempts, 2.7 expected goals for. Niederreiter's on a pretty brutal cold streak, 1 goal in his last 22 games. Not saying he's due or anything like that, but he's certainly better than what he's shown over the last 6 weeks. Winnipeg 3 is a cheap stack, I think is kind of where I am. So if we know Burakovsky is playing, Chicago 1 is easily my favorite line in the scheme. If Burakovsky's out, this is a game where I'm going to get my filler stacks rather than my top stacks. So Chicago 2, Winnipeg 3.
New Jersey Devils with a 3.1 total. Heading into Calgary, the Pilot Lights have a 2.9. Devils just ran lines. They have new ones for tonight. Hughes, Meyer, Bratt, Hischer, Mercer, Palat. That top line, Hughes, Bratt, Meyer, is 19,200. For those scoring at home, Calgary going Kadri, Zari, Matvei Gridin. I don't know why I gave a Spanish accent for that. He is clearly Russian. Backlund, Sharangovich, Coronado, Frost, Huberdeau, Farabee, Zach Whitecloud making his debut with Kevin Ball. Fun. I'm not super thrilled about any of these Calgary lines. If we are being completely honest here, I usually am not anyway. Back on Coronado, Sharangovich, 12,500, 9.6% projected ownership. Kadri, Zari, Gridin, 12,400, 8.2% projected ownership. And then Huberdeau, Frost, Farabee coming in at 1.8% projected ownership. It's just a lot of ownership on the Flames. I know the Devils just aren't it, but neither are the Flames. And I wonder how much they're going to suffer without Rasmus Andersson in the lineup. I thought they were going to bring up Zane, I forgot how to pronounce his last name, Park?
Correct.
But they replaced him with Zach Whitecloud, who's a fine defenseman, but like with Uyghur off the ice, who the hell is moving the puck for them? Kevin Ball? Nah, that dude is a cone on the road. He's a good defensive defenseman, not a great puck mover. Zach Whitecloud, he's fine. Joe Hanley, Hunter Polish, I like my pierogies? Probably not. So, like, I think they're going to suffer with Uyghur off the ice, which is why, like, Frost, Huberdeau, Farabee would have been my favorite line because they're the cheapest coming in with the least ownership, seeing, bottom 6 matchups on the Devils, but they're not going to see much time with Uyghur. So like, I don't really know if I want to play the Flames. Like I won't say no to like a Kadri, Greedon 2-man, something like that. Just because, they'll see the Nico Hischier matchup, but Nico Hischier doesn't really have line mates here, so they're not going to really worry defensively. So I guess by default it'd be Kadri Greedon, but the ownership there is just not it for me. So I'm probably out on the Flames in single entry. In MME, you can do what you want there, but for me in my one lineup, I probably won't have Flames skaters. That new Devils top line is interesting. I missed how Jack Hughes looked taking face-offs. It's not like he
didn't take any.
He didn't take any.
He still hasn't taken a face. He hasn't taken one face-off in 13 games since he came back.
I mean, he also sucks at taking face-offs, so maybe that's why. But like, who's going to take? Timo Meyer's going to take the face-offs. Jesper Bratt's going to take the face-offs. So like, I don't know, man. Like, it's a really good power play matchup for the Devils, but Luke Hughes is still running the power play, which is detrimental to the power play. Like, I guess going like Hughes, Bratt, Hischier for expensive is fine, but at that point, right, I'm just going to go stack Vegas. So, like, I don't mind that Devils top line just because the Flames aren't a great team, but like Jack Hughes not taking faceoffs at 8,300 is not super exciting. So, like, that Devils top line, once we get them into the top stacks, I'm willing to bet you is going to have a fair bit of ownership because both the Devils lines, as we had in top stacks, are coming in around 9%. I wouldn't be shocked to see this Devils top line come in at like 12, 13%. But with Hughes clearly not healthy, I'll probably take a pass.
Yeah, I mean, I think I said it on Saturday's show where, like, if I think a guy's underperforming but is going to break out, I'll start playing him and try to get in on the ground floor when he's cheap and no one's playing him, et cetera, et cetera. That's not the case with Hughes. Like, he's still clearly hurt and not healthy. And at 8,300, I think it's just a preposterous price. I think at 6,300 is about where I would start being like, okay, maybe he fires some shots and I can get a shot bonus and maybe a couple of assists or something like that. But like, he's no goals in 12 games. Shot rate down like 25% or something like that. He can't take faceoffs. He's clearly not healthy. So until I see signs of a turnaround from him, I'm not playing him at 8,300. Like, I think that's honestly insane. Like Jack Eichel and only $1,000 more. Way rather play Jack Eichel. Like, it's not even close. So I'm out on New Jersey 1. New Jersey 2, like Hischier, Mercer, Palat, like the only reason I think they're playable is they're 12,600, right? And, I really don't care about the power play correlation because, like you said, the New Jersey power play is just not good. And whether it's Hughes not being healthy or Jack Hughes not being healthy or Luke Hughes not being able to run it or whatever, it's just not good. So I'm not worried about the correlation. So I think New Jersey 2 is playable. Honestly, like, I mean, I guess it would probably be like a 2-man of like Glass Gritsuk or something like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just because, once you get past any, with the top pair, certainly the top 2 pairs for Calgary, I don't think there's really a whole lot there. Like a Glass Gritsuk 2-man, 6,100 total. They have been able to get some goals on the board this year. Like, greet that line, Gritsuk and when it used to be Connor Brown on the other side, 64 shot attempts, 2.6 expected goals per 60. Like, at least they had been generating above average shot and expected goal rates. So that's something. I think they're, that's a cheap 2-man that I would go to if I needed it for like my Vegas stacks or something like that. Or, maybe I don't even think you'd need it for expensive Winnipeg, but you know what I mean? Like, if you are playing Vegas, I think New Jersey 3 is kind of where I go, but like, don't have a lot of interest in Hischier flanked by Dawson Mercer and Andre Palat, and I'm not playing any Jack Hughes line. So by default, it's kind of New Jersey 3. In general, I don't really have a lot of interest in the Devils here tonight. The forwards anyway. On the Calgary side, like, holy shit. The thing about Anderson, and I'm writing about this tonight for my newsletter, or maybe it's Dauber Hockey, I forget which one it's in. Either way, the thing about Anderson is his offensive value, and I think Corey Snager, the guy that does the all three zones player tracking, mentioned it earlier on Twitter. Anderson's offensive value comes from the red line in. He's not like a breakout guy. He's not the guy that, retrieves the puck in the defensive zone, carries the puck out, makes those crisp passes. It's once the puck gets into the zone, then he gets involved in the offense. And that's where, and he's good at it like that, but that's where his offensive value comes from. I mean, does that really hurt Calgary a lot? Like, I don't know. Like, I think it'll hurt Calgary just because White Cloud's not a great puck mover. So just the downgrade there, but it's not like Anderson was like some elite high-end, in transition defenseman. He was a guy that jumped into the play once the forwards did the work. So like, I'm not super concerned about, it's not like Calgary was doing anything offensively anyway. It's like, how much worse can things possibly get? So like, I don't know. It's kind of funny. One of their writers mentioned on Twitter, and it's actually the case, like over the last few games, that Backlund, Zari, Sharangovich, Frost power play unit has been the top power play unit. They've gotten 60% of the power play time. Frost is by himself on that power play. Zari's by himself on that power play, but you do get Backlund and Sharangovich on that top power play unit. Matt Coronado is on the other one. They're 12,500. They're going to be going out against the Devils top line, which I don't think is necessarily a great matchup for them, but they're going to get good ice time. I think Calgary too, the Backlund line is probably where I would go here. But I'm just not really super enamored with the Flames here. Like, it's like, I don't think these lines are great. I think this is a case where, like, not really in on the forwards on either side. It's more the defensemen. If anything, it's Calgary 2 and New Jersey 3. But this is not a game that I'm looking to stack players out of forwards anyway. I think this is a game where I'm looking for my defensemen more than anything.
Oh boy, New York Rangers 3.1 total heading into Anaheim. The Ducks have a 3.4. Rangers going Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere, Zibanejad, Miller, Perreault, Laba, Othman, Cooley. Ducks lines today: McTavish, Kreider, Strome, Granlund, Seneca, Killorn, Paling, Jeffrey Veal, Cutter, Gauthier. Can we, Joel Quenneville, baby. I don't know what he's doing, but Seneca, Granlund, Killorn, 12,200, 10.2% top two, 23.5% projected ownership. I'll just let that marinate for now while I talk about the Rangers. The Rangers top line of Trocheck, Lafreniere, Panarin, 19,500, 11.1% top two, 4.3% projected ownership. Now, I'm a little bit conflicted on what to do with the Rangers here, because on one end, historically, Trocheck, Panarin, and Lafreniere have been excellent together, and the Ducks are absolute garbage defensively. The problem is the Rangers without Fox are a completely different team offensively, completely different team. Are the Ducks poor enough defensively that line can get there? Probably. Are their prices inflated because they were shooting on Alexei Kolosov the other day? Yes. 19,500 is really expensive. I think at that point in single entry anyway, I would just go play Vegas or Minnesota. Now, I think Rangers 1 is a good pivot off Minnesota because they're coming in with way less ownership, and the Ducks are rough, and that line has been historically fine. The second line of Miller, Zibanejad, Perreault, 16,400, 7.5% top two, 4.2% projected ownership. Like, I know Meek is coming off the hat trick. You're getting 2 of the 3 on the top power play. Perreault's look fine. But, oh, baby. It's not like Will Borgen and Matt Robertson really are going to move the puck. They will play some with Soucy and Morrow. And Scott Morrow, if you've watched any Rangers game, is easily their best puck mover right now. So, like, I don't really want to play 7,400 for Mika Zibanejad. But I don't mind them as a full stack just because you're saving 3,100 off the top line. You still get 2 to 3 on the power play. There's no matchups that concern me. I just don't know if I'm going to prioritize Rangers here. The plus side is that Zibanejad, Miller, Trocheck, Panarin, those 4 guys are going to play a truckload of minutes. So if you want to play them in a good matchup, fine. But, like, if you think it's some smash spot, go to Natural Stat Trick, go to your favorite analytical site. Just look up these lines with and without Adam Fox. And it's horrifying. So I just want to raise some red flags with the Rangers. If you want to do a 2-man of Laba Cooley or Laba Othman for super much wow, cheap 2-man because you're power play stacking something to the teeth, that's fine. Just because the more you go down the Ducks lineup, the uglier it gets. So, you know, I'm fine with Trocheck, Panarin, Lafreniere. I'm fine with Zibanejad, Miller, Perreault. I don't think I'm getting there in single entry. On the Ducks side, there's just so much ownership on Granlund, Seneca, Killorn that if I was going to play them, I'd leave off Killorn and either add in McTavish or Gauthier for power play correlation because the Rangers penalty kill without Igor is a problem and not a good one. They're just bad. So I'd probably power play stack there. You know, this is, you know, Chris Kreider's back in at 3,800. If he was on the top power play, I think I'd be much different, but, like, I don't really want to play Strome. So it would probably be Granlund, Seneca, add in the power play guy, because I'm certainly not playing Paling, Jeffrey Veal, and Cutter Gauthier. So, like, by default, it would be that second line, but I'd find a way to turn it into a power play stack just so you can get, like, a lower owned combo.
Yeah, I'm going to start on the Rangers side here. Here's the thing about Anaheim. Like, obviously, they had that 15-game stretch. I think they went 2-11-2, which is just absolutely insane. The goaltending was – their save percentage was abysmal. It was something like .837 or something like that, like absolutely horrific. The shots against weren't that bad. Like, they were – around or below league average, but they weren't horrific. And Anaheim, you look at their last 3 games, 1 goal against Dallas, 2 goals against Los Angeles, and then 1 goal against the Kings again after that. They've given up 4 goals in their last 3 games. Abysmal percentages have a way of turning themselves around. Like, here's what I mean is, like, through the end of November, so from the start of the season to the end of November, the St. Louis Blues and the Montreal Canadiens by save percentage in the league were 27th and 28th. Since then, they're both inside the top 20. I think it's like 18th and 19th or something like that. Like, they've gotten a lot better. Horrific percentages tend to improve. It's small samples, you know, even 15-game samples are fairly small when you look at what goaltenders can do. I don't expect, like, Lucas Dostal to put up like an 870 save percentage for the rest of the season. I think, you know, 895, maybe 900, which is about where he's been this season. Like, I think it's 890 overall. It's probably just going to improve from here on out. I don't think they're going to be anywhere as near as bad as they were in December and the first couple of games of January. I don't think they're going to give up like 4 goals in 3 games all the time, but I do think that there has to be some kind of happy medium in between it. So I don't think we can necessarily look at the Anaheim Ducks right now the same way we looked at them a month ago, is kind of what I'm getting at. And you look at this Rangers top line. They played 95 minutes together this season without Adam Fox on the ice. 50 shot attempts, 2 expected goals for per 60 minutes for Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere without Adam Fox. It's horrific. They're not coming in with much ownership. That's a point in favor. 4.3% ownership for an extra $1,100. You can go play Vegas at 7.7% ownership. I'd rather just play Vegas. Like, that's just kind of the way that I look at it. I'm not paying $19,500 for that Rangers top line. Like, it's a good power play spot, but it's one of those, is it a good power play spot for the Rangers or a good penalty kill spot for the Ducks? Because that Rangers power play without Fox, 7.7 expected goals, 5.1 actual goals per 60. That's Philadelphia Flyers territory. That's just bad. It's like, there's just nothing that I really want here. Like, because there's low ownership in a 20 max, if you have one of the Rangers top line, like, okay, single entry, I'd rather just for an extra $1,100, just go play Vegas. Like, that's just kind of the way that I look at it. So I'm out on Rangers 1. Rangers 2, like 54 shot attempts, 2.5 expected goals for JT Miller and Gabe Perreault. I mean, I guess they could get there. They're not super expensive, $16,400. For $400 cheaper, I'd probably rather just go play Chicago, is kind of how I look at it. So, like, there's not really a lot on the Rangers side that I particularly like here tonight. If anything, it would probably be that second line. It would probably be Zibanejad, Miller, and Perreault. Zibanejad, like, over his last several games, like, he's produced extremely well, and obviously a lot of that is without Fox in the lineup. 26 shots, 17 points in his last 10 games, so he's been on a little bit of a heater. You avoid, the Jackson-Lacombe pair or any shutdown pair that they decide to throw at them from the Anaheim side. So I think it's Rangers 2 for me. I'm not super excited about playing them. On the Anaheim side, my God. Like, I'm not playing anything from the bottom 6. Obviously, Cutter Gauthier is in the doghouse right now. And it's kind of like that Mason McTavish thing earlier in the season where, like, I think Gauthier got up to like 15 minutes last game, which is nice. By the same token, 15 minutes for $6,700. He's wildly overpriced. He should be over $1,000 cheaper for that kind of ice time. So no Anaheim 3, Anaheim 2. I mean, I'm calling Seneca, Granlund, Killorn the second line. They're going to get the most minutes. They've been good in a small sample, 77 shot attempts per 60. You get 2 out of the 3 guys on top power play units. Seneca has 29 shots and 9 points in his last 10 games. The Rangers, about league average by time shorthanded per game over the last 5 weeks. Penalty kill has been about average over the last 5 weeks. It's not a bad power play spot for the Ducks. Obviously, there's a ton of ownership coming in on them. I would probably just kind of make it some sort of power play stack. I think I would take out Killorn from that stack and put in Mason McTavish. I don't think I would put in Gauthier. Like I said, I just think he's just too wildly overpriced. I mean, maybe he can do it just in the sense that he's going to come in with very low ownership. But I would probably just go Seneca, Granlund, McTavish, make it some sort of top power play stack, dilute the ownership a little bit. Obviously it's a double center stack, which usually aren't super popular. So for me, it's Seneca, Granlund, McTavish. That's what I like best out of this game. I guess Rangers 2 is in play, but I'm not super keen on playing New York.
Another New York team, New York Islanders with a 3.2 total heading into Vancouver. The Canucks have a 2.8. Islanders going Barzal, Duclair, Lee, even though Lee got moved off last game. He was there in practice. Richie, Heineman, Sipelkoff, Peugeot, Drouin, Holmstrom. Canucks loading up their top line, Pettersson, DeBrusk, Besser. I guess that's loading it up.
Loading up, yeah.
14,700. No point in mentioning anyone else. On the Islanders side here, that top line, 14,400, 10.6% top 2, 14.7% projected ownership. Chalk Islanders on the road. Yeah, baby. And Andrews Lee got moved off that line last game. I don't think I'm full stacking anything off the Islanders. I think like a one-off Barzal, a one-off Heineman. I guess like I'm not super. I know they have a 3.2 total, and Barzal, Lee, Duclair, if they stick together, has good offensive numbers, but they're also atrocious defensively. So who knows? Two-man Barzal, Duclair. That's really about it. I don't like the ownership there. The Vancouver top line is only $300 more than the Islanders top line, and they're coming in with less than half the ownership. They're fully correlated at 14,700, 6.1% top two, 4.6% projecting ownership. The Islanders are atrocious defensively. The one thing that the Islanders have going for them is Ilya Sorokin. That's the only thing that's like holding me back from, well, besides that they're the Vancouver Canucks. It's the only thing that's really holding me back from playing that top line. But they are 14,700. They're coming in with, minimal ownership. Who knows if they're going to be good, but the Islanders are bad. The only concern I have is Sorokin.
I mean, the Islanders are bad, but how good is Vancouver?
I mean, they're trash, but at least they're home with less ownership.
That's the thing, is the ownership, right? 4.6% ownership. I think that's the point here, is like, that's obviously not coming in with any ownership. The top line should get minutes, but like, even like the minutes that the Vancouver top guys have been getting haven't been all that high, right? Elias Pettersson, 17 minutes a game over his last 5 games. Like, the days of Pettersson playing 20 plus seem to be a distant memory. Pettersson and Besser on the ice together, 135 minutes at 5-on-5, 2.3 expected goals for per 60. I was talking about Pettersson on Blue Sky earlier today. Over the last 2 calendar years, so going back to January 19th of 2024, Elias Pettersson and Kasperi Kapanen have the same rate of primary points at 5-on-5.
Great company.
Kasperi Kapanen. Okay.
I had to think what team he's on now. That's how little I remember him.
Looking at all points at 5-on-5, Elias Pettersson is tied with Alex Newhook. This is 2 years now. Like, just because there's no ownership, I guess that's why they're playable, but there's a similar top 2 stack with similar no ownership on the Chicago top line, assuming Burakovsky plays, and I would way rather play. It's kind of funny. I would way rather play Chicago against Connor Hellebuck than the Vancouver Canucks right now. The other thing is the Islanders actually have a decent penalty kill over the last 5 weeks, about the middle of, above average over the course of the entire season, 7th by goals against per minute. A lot of that is Sorokin, but it's not like you play, it's not like the penalty kill is with an empty net. So it's not really a great power play spot for the Canucks, and the Canucks power play has been below average with Zeev Buium running it. I don't think that's a shock to anyone. So, right, like with low ownership, I guess Vancouver one is fine, but at a similar price, similar ownership, I'd much rather go play Chicago. So just because there's a different spot, I'd rather play. I'm not playing the Vancouver second and third line. Somebody wants to go play David Kampf, go with God. Not I. So guess I'm just out on the Canucks. Islanders top line, like, I don't like playing Islanders chalk, but it's not like 10% top 2 stack and 24% ownership like Anaheim or something like that. Like, ownership projection under 15%, I think is playable. Duclair and Barzal, I mentioned the other day how Duclair's shot rates had been going up. Duclair and Barzal over their last 25 games, whenever they've skated together, 78 shot attempts per 60 minutes. Barzal averaging 23 minutes a game, nearly 23 minutes a game without Bo Horvat in the lineup. He's playing nearly 50% of his 5-on-5 time with Matt Schaefer without Bo Horvat in the lineup. I think for me, it's Islanders one. Now, if you want to just one-off Duclair for cheap, I think that's fine, or one-off Barzal or whatever. I think that's okay, but this is a bad Vancouver team. Still no Thatcher Demko. The goalies, there's nothing to worry about from the goalies. Vancouver penalty kill is not good. Not like the Islanders' power play is great, but the Vancouver penalty kill is equally bad. For me, it's Islanders 1 easily in this game that I like best. I guess Vancouver 1 is in play, but like I said, I think there's a pivot in Chicago that I'd rather turn to.
Let's talk about defensemen here. There's only 2 6K and up, so I'll include the 5K guys. We have Quinn Hughes, Josh Morrissey, Matt Schaefer, Kenzie Weegar, Rasmus Anderson, if he plays, Shea Theodore, Brock Faber, Jackson Lacombe. I think, listen, like Quinn Hughes, if you're doing Minnesota stacks, is completely fine at 7,500. But like, I'm not going out of my way to play Quinn Hughes tonight. The 2 guys that I would probably spend for are Matthew Schaefer and Mackenzie Weegar. I think Morrissey's fine, but it's not a good power play matchup, and his peripherals have been pretty bad this season. So, I would probably go outside of Quinn Hughes, Schaefer 1, Weegar 2. Don't mind Brock Faber or Jackson Lacombe, but like if I'm going into that mid 5K, it's definitely Schaefer and Weegar.
So I'm not super keen on Minnesota here, but I just want to go through Quinn Hughes' game log real quick. His last 7 games, 29 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 minutes, 30 and a half minutes, 26, 28 and a half, 30. His last 7 games, he's played around or over 30 minutes more often than not. You know what I mean? It's like,
it's just a lot of ice time.
Like for 7,500, 30 minutes a game, I'm not super keen on the Wild, but if they do get like 4 goals or something like that here tonight, considering Hughes is playing 30 minutes a game, feels hard to believe like he's not going to be involved. I don't mind Hughes. He has the highest projection on the board here tonight of the expensive defensemen. It's only him and Morrissey. Morrissey has a slightly higher fantasy point per dollar value, but I certainly do prefer Quinn Hughes just because it's such a bad power play matchup for the Jets. So Quinn Hughes is my expensive defenseman. Between 4 and 6K, Brock Faber has the highest projection overall and the highest point per dollar projection of anybody over 5K. But I prefer Matthew Schaefer against the Canucks. Like, it's one of those things, like, usually I go to bed after the second period of the late games. It's like 1 a.m. here or something like that. And then I'll get up in the morning and check the highlights. Kind of like, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, Matt Schaefer with a natural hat trick in the third period against the Vancouver Canucks. It's like, it wouldn't shock me in the least. Obviously not saying he's going to do that, but I really do like Schaefer here tonight against Vancouver. Obviously, Weegar, perfectly fine. Going to have to eat some more minutes with Anderson gone, I imagine. Brock Faber has the highest projection. I'm still not entirely sure why. I think a lot of it is block shot rate. Like, the guy does block a lot of shots. It's kind of like Weegar in that sense. So obviously Faber's fine, but for me, it's probably Schaefer over 5K. Between 4 and 5K, Jacob Trouba, revenge narrative. I mean, he's played the Rangers before, but
he has revenge on his mind no matter who he plays.
Yeah, that's true. But he's only 4,300 and he gets 24 minutes a game, so I don't mind Trouba. Morgan Riley, obviously, like I said, he's in a pretty good power play matchup. Vladislav Gavrikov, like, I think he's fine. I'd probably rather play Gavrikov than the Rangers forwards here tonight. Under 4K, Tony DeAngelo has the highest projection of any defenseman under 4K here tonight at 3,500. Okay.
Sure.
I mean, he is playing 21 minutes a game, and it's a great matchup. So I think that's fine. Artem Levshunov is just behind him. I think Adam Pelech is perfectly fine. Braden Schneider, for some reason, is still getting 22 to 23 minutes a game for the Rangers. Okay. Zeev Buium, I mean, whatever. Zeev Buium running the power play for Vancouver, so that's something. Under 3K, Connor Murphy's got the highest projection of any defenseman under 3K here tonight. Yan Kuznetsov from Calgary, I think he's another guy that might see some more ice time with Anderson gone, and he was getting decent ice time anyway. Louis Crevier from Chicago, and Hunter Brustowitz getting top power play time for the Flames now. I mean, I guess like top power play time for the Flames is like, it's not great, but it's something for his price. So
it's like Uvis Balsinkus.
I mean, you say that. Our boy Uvis last game scored, game before that, or last game scored plus a block bonus, game before that scored, game before that assist. He's on a 3-game point streak.
But what did he do on the power play? Nothing.
I mean, does have two of those 3 points are on the power play.
I'm going to shut up now.
He's been good, man.
Anyway, let's talk about goalies now that I've made a fool of myself. Top range, it's all right. Like, I'll never say no to Connor Hellebuyck at 8,200, but the guys that I prefer in the top range here are Woll and Sorokin at 81 and 8,000. I'm not a Jacob Markstrom DFS guy, but against Calgary could be the time. The same token, Devin Cooley in that game at 7,600 could be playable. In the bottom range, it's easily Philip Gustafsson or Spencer Knight.
Yeah. The top projected goalie here tonight, I hate that it actually is him, but the top projected goalie is Jacob Markstrom. He's just had such a bad season, but he does have the highest projection. Joseph Woll just behind him, and Elias Sorokin not far behind them. I'm going to be honest, I don't like playing expensive goalies on the road. So it's like, would I rather play Sorokin in Vancouver or Markstrom in Calgary? I'd probably rather play Sorokin. He's just been one of the best goalies in the NHL for like 5 years, and he might be a Vezina Trophy winner this year. So Markstrom, Woll, or Sorokin, I would probably go to Sorokin. For the cheaper goalies like Gustafsson, like you said, 7,300 against Toronto. I think that is a perfectly fine price. But for me, what stands out is Spencer Knight at 7,200 at home against Winnipeg. Winnipeg power play is not getting there. They're going to have to do it at 5-on-5. As long as Chicago can hold them off 5-on-5, I think Knight will be just fine.
We will be back tomorrow. Some size slate between 6 and 10 games. I think it's 10, actually. But yeah, look forward to that. Who are you liking for your hat trick pick?
Personal favorite guy that I always enjoy watching. I enjoy his style of hockey. I'm going with Anders Lee.
Anders. I am going Robert Kennedy McMahon. Bobby McMahon.
All right. Go Leafs go. That's what we always say here.
Yeah, go Leafs go. Watch them lose 4-0 will be satisfying. They'll miss the playoffs if they started today. Anyway, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck, everybody, tonight, and we'll see you in the Discord.
Good luck tonight, everyone.